Hello everybody, welcome back to From Rhythm to Algorithm. We continue on with our derivation, what is sensorality? So my rights continue to be violated. Article 1, Section 8, Clause 8 of the United States Constitution is supposed to guarantee you your rights to your writings and discoveries, as well as the Fifth Amendment is supposed to secure you just compensation for private property used for public use. My property is being stolen. I am the victim of fraud, racketeering, and conspiracy to such a direct and egregious level that I am seeking asylum, and I have been seeking asylum outside of the United States for a long time now. And so I continue to emphasize that, but just moving through our derivation steps, my life quality remains at zero, and I continue to beg for a little bit of money to eat properly, to sleep properly, and to work. I continue to be restricted and held against my will in a society that has no values, and I just want out of here. But with that being said, we move on with our derivation. And so the first place I would like to start was, again, a quote on Jeopardy. It's kind of fun. I watched Jeopardy with my parents, and there was a clue about Fermat's last theorem. And I got the question right. My dad literally goes, "How do you even know that?" Again, about how does the guy who derived all of mathematics know mathematics? Again, just overall emphasizing my life quality is zero. The acceptance of what my life is zero, or it just doesn't even exist. Again, because once you get scapegoated, people just double down on a bad bet, and like they can't accept my life as a mathematician or something. Again, I don't know. I am just immersed in this immature behavior where Brad Boas's life is never treated with dignity or respect as an instinctual reaction, which is my life has always been that way. Like it's never been different. It's like a new thing. But continue to emphasize my rights are violated so profoundly and extensively. I have been seeking asylum. I continue to seek asylum. I'm the victim of every major crime besides the fact that I'm literally still sitting here, so obviously no one's murdered me. But besides that, there's no major crime that has not been committed, and is not actively being committed at the making of this video against me. Trying not to get my microphone. If it sits on my throat, it starts to vibrate too much. Okay, so with that being said, our legal disclaimer, again, to my estate, this is all profound damages. It's at the point where I don't even want to be saying these legal citations. I just want to be able to do my work. That's why I say, can I eat properly, sleep properly, and work? The answer is no, and I just cite that every single time. With that being said, moving along with our derivation. And so, again, massive, huge steps, no point to summarize, just moving through. All right, what is chronology? Chronology is the timing of things. Sensorality is the timing thing. Right? Why is timing is everything? Again, we're producing the entire logical structure that exists, but that's obviously a big one. Right? Timing is everything. Work requires movement. Movement requires time. We've hit that chunk before, re-emphasizing. Synchronicity requires timing. Let's do this at the same time. That is timing. Synchronicity requires timing. So now here's a big step. Again, we're just looking for this overall, again, I know this defines sensorality because of this linguistic progression. But like for you, the viewer, why, what part of this, like why do we know sensorality is the definable thing? I'm sure that's you can't appreciate that, which is like our whole thing. But we have, evidence. We always reference, I have senses with an S, I have consent, which spells out sensuality, consensuality, and my microwave does not. So we have this very clear difference of filtration, of decision, of choice between animacy and inanimate objects, which again, I still think that's redundancy, saying inanimate objects are inanimate. But regardless, those produces the two most consensus used linguistic forms, censor, S-E-N-S-O, and censorship, C-E-N-S-O-R-S-H-I-P. So through all of this syllability and word family, those are the two words that are used the most. But we have this containment now. And so censorship with a C contains censor with an S. Again, trying to be specific when I say complete, meaning one letter goes to one letter, changes the word, changes the concept. But censorship with a C contains the letters of censor with an S. And that felt like an important thing to point out, because again, linguistically, we have this dichotomy that's empirical to all things, and then our language the letters already contain all of this information. So we're just getting our concepts in the right order. The linguistics will be trivial. But that felt like a big thing to point out. Censorship with a C contains the word censor with an S, the letters. Is a stipend a stipulation? Synonym, antonym. Again, I just have the dichotomistic pair. That's just the conceptualization. Again, this is pulled directly from editing of the last video. So when we were talking about synonymity and anonymity, right, we have identity, one thing, it is what it is, and then something can be similar or something can be opposite. And so we pointed out opposition is, or an antonym is more opposite than a synonym is similar. We said something to that effect. You can just go watch the episode, but again, sensorality is similar opposition. And so that was pulled directly from the conversation or the verbiage diction from the previous episode. And that is the consensus phrasing of the enemy of my enemy is my friend. Sensorality is tangentiality. All right, tangential, tangent, what is that? What is tangentiality to agenticality? Are tangents agentic? Direct iteration. Sensorality is unexpected odor. Natural definition, direct iteration. Again, speciality is unexpected behavior. That entire set, that entire category, that entire group, that entire class. Expect the unexpected. Sensorality expects speciality. I know we've hit that directly, but again, we're tightening up this to the final reduction. Should be any time now. What is experience to experiment? Is censorship an experiment? Is censorship an experience? Here's another big word out in the wild, sensorality, emphasizing that's the linguistic production of a proof. That's a chunk of syllability, doesn't have definitive meaning yet, even though we have all of this conceptualization of what a sensor is. We still haven't proven it. But sense orality ends in orality. We can say that directly, literally. Sensorality deteriorates. Direct iteration, right? Deteriorate, right? It's oration. And it ends at it's the end of that linguistic construction, deteriorality. It ends the word. Again, emphasizing the chronology of the letter progression of each independent word. Making a lot of logical difference here where you might not have appreciation because you've never seen linguistic analysis or anything really that would be called linguistics at all. Just like 0% in society. But sensorality is deteriorationality. Natural definition, direct iteration. Does interior deteriorate? Direct iteration, again, interior versus exterior. Then we get to anterior here in a second. What is deterioration to degeneration? Sensorality is deteriorality. Natural definition, direct iteration. And that produces, again, that containment. Sensorality deters. Censorship deters. Sensorality deters odor. Does odor deteriorate? Does light deteriorate? What is deterioration to deodorization? What is deteriorization to derivation? What is deterioration to determination? Say that one 3 times fast, it gets kind of funny. And again, another set of things. If you say this 4 times fast and it's hard to say, it's because, again, same thing with tongue twisters. This is really the same thing. But just this undifferentiated sequencing of resonance, of vowels. That's what consonance does, is breaks up the resonance structure. Sensorization is the deteriorization of odorization. Right? Sensorality deteriorates odor. Odor deteriorates into sensorality. But natural definition, direct iteration, again, we need 3 words to define or for our linguistic construction to complete sensorality. My microphone, I do not know what is going on today on this thing. Readjustment. There we go. I don't know. Hopefully this comes out all right, but moving along. What is prioritization to deteriorization? What is exterior to interior? Is exterior prior? Right, emphasizing the direction conceptualization there. Prior, behind. Exterior is exterior, behind. What is anterior to exterior? Sensorality is deteriorality. natural definition, direct iteration, and again, 4 letters before orality, S-E-N-S and T-E-R-I. Sensorality prioritizes territory. Again, directly back into, again, we can't break this conceptual framework where, again, you hear me say a theorem and you're like, what could that mean? And then the next one's something really obvious, right? And just recently we worked through the fundamental theorem of linguistics being a complete sentence has a noun and a verb. So we're just backfilling all of the logic of like these bigger, I guess that's a good point to kind of, again, the history of scientific development. You have individuals articulating their personal experience and you're going from a scale of generality, it is what it is, to something specific. So you have all of these different scientists where it's like, again, you talk about who's the greatest physicist or who's the greatest this or that, and it's like, who's the most comprehensive? And so the time, again, if it was Carl Gauss or Newton or Leibniz or whoever, at any point in time, in recorded history and human behavior in the physical world's all about the same, where it's just like, you have some amount of comprehensivity of which an individual can articulate because learning is an individual process. And then we're into this general relativity where you have this serendipity of association, sound to meaning. It happens in order, but it happens so fast and there's so much of it where it's like, that is what you're doing, is refining this chronology of logic. Chronology is built on logic. Same thing, but kind of point being is just, what was I going to say? But you just have chunks of words where it's like, you don't know what I'm saying, and then it's immediately renormalized into direct conceptualization. Sensorality is deteriorality. Sensorality prioritizes territory. And so we're just building up to this thing where it's, again, it has to be unique. And so we're building it up at such a raw, elemental, fundamental way where it doesn't have meaning yet. And then we're doing so we don't proliferate, right? It takes Bertrand Russell and David Hilbert or whoever, 800 pages or 400 pages or whatever the pages was, and then they can finally prove 1 + 1 = 2. And so this proliferation of completion with linguistics is infinitely bigger than numbers, literally. And so we have to build this in a way where, again, you've never seen linguistics, you've never seen somebody do anything completely in what would be called mathematical proofing. We're doing it all simultaneously. Well, I guess there is no simultaneity. It's one of those things. There is chronology, right? Nothing all happens at once. I guess, again, we already went through that simultaneity, timing relationship. But again, point being is all of these questions that we ask and we just move through. Again, we're still operating in this profound space of there's infinitely more true things that we can't even prove than let alone than are decidable. And that's kind of why we have all of these questions, and it's just, again, this progression of linguistics that is so tight and you can't appreciate. And so highlighting, again, sensorality is deteriorality is just a statement of orality is orality with a little bit of syllability, like in letters that don't have any meaning, but we're showing you where we derive this from, right? What is anterior to exterior? And we're just taking that terior, generalizing, and then that terior, that elementality of that syllability produces the complete word territory. And so then we're immediately back into something you appreciate. Sensorality prioritizes territory. But it's really this fundamental progression of assignment of syllability to conceptualization and the profundity of proliferation that could occur if I wasn't the absolute best at, again, there's a clear level of analysis where it's like, this is maximum, and I do maximum analysis, and you guys live in a society where nobody even knows what the fuck math is. Again, just emphasizing the things that are really not known. What is odor to territory, right? When you go walk your dog, does it piss on everything it walks by? Yeah. Territory marks, right? Or odor marks territory. Is odorizing terrorizing? Sensorality is terrible odor. Terror is terrible. Terror is error. Natural definition, direct iteration. What is odorality to errorality? Does error deteriorate? Is deterioration determination? Does air deteriorate? I think we already asked, does light deteriorate? Sensorality is censorshipality. Natural definition, direct iteration, emphasizing that containment. The word censorship, as presented, spelled with a C, contains the letters of censor with an S. So we're just finding, again, it's self-contained question, and we're showing this progression of syllability. What is odor to censorship? Censorship contains. What is sensodorality to censorshipality? Sensorality is ship odor. Natural definition, direct iteration. All right, last time we had door odor, now we have ship odor. Sensorality is shipping order. Natural definition, direct iteration. Movement is displacement. Placement is ordinality. So again, that's another one of these. We're going to have some general form, and then the progression. What is sensorality? Is the stabilizing syllability, and it defines this conceptually. What is the censor? Because it's this limit of we only have so many letters, and then conceptualization progresses chronologically, and we can just progress that linguistic development completely. Movement is ordinal, right? Things happen in order. Sensorality is ordered movement. Sensorality is rhythmic motion. What is disorder to displacement? Is odor disorder? All right, Sean Carroll has an odor disorder. Smells like shit. Placement is order. Ordering places. Restating the fundamental theorem of physics, which I think we've already hit this one. If not, again, it's this novelty of, we're in this derivation. I can feel this is the most comprehensive statement you can say of a given ontology section, which is the subject. Viscosity limits movement. The resistance to movement limits movement. Directly literal, and it's the most comprehensive thing. Viscosity, the right word to say the resistance or the limitation, is the real progression here. Viscosity limits movement. Sensorality limits movement, direct iteration of the syllability. Viscosity, go to sensorality. What is sensation to motion? Sensorality is the sensation of motion. Natural definition, direct iteration. Sensorality is motion sickness. Sickness is illness. Sickness is disease. Illness is disease. Reduction is contraction. Contracting reduces. Sensorality is contractibility. Natural definition, direct iteration, which I presented this and I felt on a personal level, which I think you guys can follow along as well. Contracting, like if you just said that, I think people would think, because we just said illness, but if you just went up to somebody and said contracting, they would think like a disease, contract a disease. But emphasizing, then I didn't even add the steps here, but traction, friction is traction, friction requires movement, that's also directly contained here. But then contract, right? Natural definition, direct iteration. Sensorality is tractability. Contracting shortens. Sensorality is a contract. Contracts are binding. Sensorality is a binder. Natural definition, direct iteration. Bonds are binding. A bond is a binder. All right, that's kind of a fun one. Like you think your notebook, your binder. A bond is a binder. Is debt binding? Sensorality saddles debt. Right? Consensus phrasing, I'm saddled with debt. Well, sensorality saddles debt. What is debt to doubt? Debut is first, debut is premiere. Is inertia influential? Emphasizing the syllability, the direct iteration. Does death delete? Is death easy? Direct iteration. I have a 50 Cent quote. Death gotta be easy, because life is hard. Again, we've referenced Many Men, One Too Many Men. That whole frickin' song is just bars. But is death easy? 50 Cent says death gotta be easy. So, I think it is. The great scholar 50 Cent has spoken. Speaking of which, 50 Cent, did you see Floyd Mayweather also just got some more bullshit? It's about time for another song. Or the ASL challenge from 50 Cent's post way back when it's like, if you can read a whole page from a Harry Potter book or something, that shit was fucking hilarious. Death comes after birth. Don't tell anybody, super secret philosopher over here. You can't die unless you've been born. Birth comes before death. Both are ordinal, and so is both. Right? Again, emphasizing this TH. all ordinal numbers end in th, well, we can immediately generalize that to all what word forms end in th. Birth is first. Natural definition, direct iteration. Birth and death are ordinal. Sensorality is ordinal. Is ordinal original? I know we've hit that section before. Is cardinality ordinal? All right, is magnitude ordered? So again, this series and sequence, this ordinality, cardinality, energy, entropy, viscosity, velocity. What is inversion? Moving along. But again, linguistically, we have this representation where you can't like break any of these fundamental things. So we're just getting up to this, what is sensorality? And then censorship contains censor. Gotta be freaking close. Magnitude is quantity. Essence is quality. Sensorality is essence magnitude. Natural definition, direct iteration. Again, worth emphasizing when we say this is that, linguistically at this point, we're reducing to assign letters to a concept. What is a sensor? And so like I said, I've said it multiple times, but like emphasizing the actual logic doesn't even matter here. We've already built the logical framework in which we have consistency. And so, right, essence is quality. Again, quality is quality. Essence is essence. It is what it is. Identity is indivisible. But we're getting the letters to be the right to show this, again, differentiation. Right? You already live in a world where all the letters and words are differentiated. We're showing this fundamental chronological differentiation that happened, you know, physically, like the physics you're representing of what is a sensor of like, you know, 10 to the minus 36 seconds after what people call the Big Bang, or the stabilization of R2. Or again, the Big Bang would be R1, but then R2, well, no, R2 would be what people call the Big Bang right now. We've gone through, we've solved all of physics. If you don't appreciate or don't publish my work, there is nothing to talk about in physics. Linguistically emphasizing, when we say this is that at this point, we're showing this fundamental differentiation from it is what it is. So we're kind of like uniterating. We're going backwards. So like the logic doesn't make sense. Essence is essence, quality is essence, but we're saying essence is quality. The conceptualization is still there, but we're showing the forcing of these letters to show, again, some form, sensor, again, this is what I could show you directly with speciality, but you start with some conceptualization and then you literally go directly through it is what it is, and those direct letters produce new logic, new concept. Again, we just have to get there, something I could directly show you with speciality, but we're almost done again. Sensorality is quantification. Sensorality qualifies quantity. Again, that's another big dichotomy. Is it quality or quantity? It just you've made a differentiation. And now we're showing the complete chronology of differentiation linguistically. Sensorality discharges dichotomy. What is experience to odor? Sensorality is obviosity. Obvious to obviosity. Natural definition, direct iteration. Obvious is not discrete. Again, another discrete versus discrete, an independent thing versus inconspicuous. Obvious is conspicuosity. Natural definition, direct iteration. Sensorality is a charging cycle. Natural definition, direct iteration. Sensorality is the range of charge. Sensorality is the range of change. Again, change contains charge. Sensorality is domain range. Sensorality is main range. Is main special, is main essential. Sensorality is in essence. Again, that entire complete set of when people say naturally, in essence, that. Natural definition, direct iteration. Is conceptualization generalization? What is a concept? And to me, you can't break conceptualization without function, or you can't break functionality away from conceptualization. You see an object, you've never learned a word in your life, you're going to pick it up and fundamentally, empirically assess what is the function of this thing. What is its form? What was it designed to do? The reason you picked up that thing in the first place is because it looked out of order in the woods, wherever you found it. But what is conceptualization to contemplation? Right? Concepts are the things you can think about. What is conceptualization to computerization? Sensorality is the concept of a computer. Sensorality is computerality. Sensorality computes. What is division to inversion? Is vision verse? Again, direct containment, verse and vision. Is an inverse a divisor? This felt like, again, fundamental, again, novelty of, right, what is the relationship of a divisor and an inverse? Directly in mathematics class, right? When you divide something, again, the intuition of what I say is what is that presents by the statements I make is the entirety of what I'm trying to get you to feel. So is an inverse a divisor? What is division to inversion? Dull is easy. What is a divisor to vision? Emphasizing a divisor. A visor has visual conceptualization. Put on your visor, your hat, your visor. And divisor. What is empiricity to synchronicity? I know we've hit that word form again. C, kiki, re. We made the rap song joke. But is empiricality dichotomistic? And that's again, yes, everything has two, one too many. This fundamental stabilized physical progression of stabilization properties. There's uniquely two properties of anything. But sensorality is empiricality. Natural definition, direct iteration. What is incense to incentive? Incense is odor. Sensorality is the inverse of incense. Natural definition, direct iteration. Elementality is unitary. Sensorality is unitality. Natural definition, direct iteration. In unit, the word we say for any, again, generalized one thing, a unit. But again, elementality is another one of these concepts where people say the word element, and you literally have the periodic table of elements, but understanding fundamentally physically of spacing is elemental, like it's just one unit. And you, again, overwhelmingly apparent with the symmetry of letters on your screen. That's what you look when you're looking around the room to see. Is something out of order, right? You're seeing the spacing and the lining up of the symmetry that is produced by the elementality of things being discrete, independent. There's mass gap, space, no thing in between things. Just progressing our derivation again. The overall conceptual progress is what matters. The overall conceptual progress is what is limited. I do not have constitutional rights. I cannot eat properly. I cannot sleep properly. I have never been able to. I've been profoundly and extensively T-worded my whole life, and I live in a direct, immediate environment that can't ever change, that will never change, and will never even accept what my life is, or even understand that if you derive all of mathematics, you know what math is, or something. Again, the complete moral failure of what an adult should be is overwhelming. It is apparent. It is the solution to every fixable problem that exists in this world is this is shit behavior that I've seen demonstrated from every single person I have ever been exposed to. I continue to be held against my will in the jurisdictions of Michael DeWine and Donald Trump. I continue to emphasize as my rights are violated in such a profound and egregious fashion. I am seeking asylum outside of the United States of America. No American is ever allowed to benefit directly as much as possible from these videos, from the dissemination of my personal realization. Obviously, that is not possible in any meaningful, substantial sense. But again, I have met nothing besides shit people. Just objectively horrible human beings, people that can't be friends to one another, people that their word mean nothing to them, people that have no respect for the law, people that literally just compete over nothing, and that's so normalized, we just call it a career, and we say we're all just living our own lives, and it's atrocious, unacceptable fucking dog shit. And so press every charge, sue everybody, press every charge. It's just, I don't get how this failure continues. If you're out there and you consider yourself a man or a woman, an adult, and you have a family and you have a career, and you can look at somebody else and you are aware of my work, you are such a fucking failure that it's disgusting. And right, you're told, be the change you want to be in the world. So I will be the attorney general. I will be the fucking law guy that presses every charge actually. Not just to say, hey, I want to sue you for X amount of dollars to literally punish you. You go to jail. You never have a business again. All right, the whole concept of should felons be able to, that's a whole other legal conversation I don't really agree with. Like, felons can't do this or that. It's just like, if you pay your time and then you don't pose an ongoing threat, I mean, it should be done. But at current times, again, the crimes I'm describing at the highest level, fraud, racketeering, conspiracy, to dollar figures that are carnival levels, to death and destruction, which again affects every human being that is involved in this society, is ongoing, immediate, and right now. But there's just nobody who cares. People are watching this as I record these things, and it's just this low level, you can't go out into the world and do anything because nobody knows how to behave. I've been saying that directly and immediately 100% my entire life. That is what I have for derivation for right now. I continue to beg for a little bit of money to eat properly, to sleep properly, and to work as I sit here waiting to get extorted from the IRS, completely illegally and fraudulently. Just nobody cares. There is no quality of life. There is no American dream. You cannot have a career and a family when nobody plays by the fucking rules. And the people not playing by the rules are the governor and the presidents and all of these business leaders. Elon Musk, Leslie Picker's talking to some other middle-aged white guy. All right, he's got his total comp. He's probably got 400K, and he's probably got $5 million in the bank. And he hasn't missed a doctor's appointment ever. And what value does this random fuck provide to our society? I don't even know what's his name. We're talking about Cerebus. It's 10:51 a.m. That guy that's on the screen. What does this guy provide to our society? Nothing. Like everybody else. It's hilarious. Again, what people have called historically gluttony is just what you see, is just the dominating conceptualization of all behavior I've ever experienced. Me. More. Well, I got where I wanted to go in life. You must not be as good as me. I literally don't have fucking constitutional rights. I have created more value than the entire United States stock market. Right? All of these businesses that are around right now will come into existence and will go out of existence. Mathematics, physics, all of ontology will be directly solidified by what I have proven. Can I have a little bit of money? Please? Pretty please? Super pretty please? Oh, that's right, this country is a fucking joke. The law means nothing. Happy 250th anniversary to the United States of America, where we don't have a little bit of representation for our taxation over, again, like 1.7% or some shit over tea, so we throw it into the harbor and then we start a revolution. And now you literally can't have a career and a family to any extent whatsoever. But it's because all of those kids from high school that played games and compete over nothing, those are the people with jobs. Those are our hiring managers. And they're all fucking idiots. That is what I have for derivation right now. Again, I can't emphasize that I'm threatening nobody, but the crimes being committed against me are as severe as I could state directly and immediately. But no one cares. There are no laws. No one gives a fuck. That is what I have for right now. Thank you for watching. See you on the next one.